Themba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Themba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We are looking at a big Friday main slate here, James. 10 games on the Friday main slate. I know you have been diligently diving in to all the data, all the stats, all the news that we need for today. As you did the NBA DFS Playbook, which is out live on Fantasy Alarm right now. You can go check that out. If you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, we can sign up for free right now and check it out. FantasyAlarm.com/win. 7-day free trial going on. You got that QR code right there up on the screen. You can check out James's playbook for today. Yesterday was kind of an interesting 4-game slate. We had some monster performances, maybe some unexpectedly monster performances. Chet Holmgren went out there and just absolutely dominated in his matchup against Denver. Nikola Jokic said his entire team sucks at shooting. So we had that out there today. Wemby kind of struggled. Luka had a big day. So we take that, we turn the page, and now we have a 10-game slate here where at least every team has played. So we have an idea of rotations-ish. We know who's in and who's out. It should be a fun one to break down today.
Yeah, Jokic, I don't fault him. 23 potential assists, by the way. 13 assists, 23 potential. So, yeah, I mean, at least he included himself in the not good shooting portion because he said us, other than Michael Porter and Jamal Murray. Yeah, interesting slate yesterday. Very, very fun slate today. Some games not looking to be overly competitive, but we'll see if there's some hero ball to keep those games competitive. Some really nice totals, some star power. Some, not a lot of injury news. So, yeah, I mean, I really like this 10-gamer. Happy freaking Friday, John, TGIF, my friend. So I'm excited for the slate to go down.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we appreciate, again, you guys all tuning in. Want to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. It is a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. To Prince, this is close to your wheelhouse, 10 games. It is close. We like the 6 to 8 game slates here. So, 10 games right around there. Dave, pumped to have you in the chat, man. But had you been rocking with us, we're glad you were in there. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Happy to do it. Then I see through you, always in our Discord, always hanging around with us here. And then we got a football question.
I love football questions. I'm wearing a baseball shirt. This is we're inviting, right? We're just go Yankees. First off, Yankees in 4, as you guys can see. But we're just inviting, John. We're just inviting everyone to the chat here.
Yeah, it's true. And just love our guy Jacob Bowers. Love Bowers in the chat. In our Discord all the time as well. I'll answer this football question one time. Yeah, you got to steal Tyreek Hill and Devin Achane now that there's Tyreek Hill back. Yankees.
You see it? Click it.
All right.
Show it. You better show it.
All right. We're gonna talk about today's basketball slate here.
How dare you? I'll show it. Yankees on top. That's right, Prime. That's right.
Oh, well, all right. This is a basketball show before we lose our audience here and the algorithms throw us off.
Okay.
We're here to talk about tonight's NBA DFS main slate.
That's Don. Don's back.
Don's in here. Whole new name. Had me in the first half. I'll tell you that.
Had me in the first half until I saw Don Kiwi, new man. Yeah. I was like, oh, Don's back. Let's go.
Had me in the first half. All right, let's get into it because it's a fun slate here. Injuries that we're paying attention to for today. Joel Embiid, as we know, already out. Paul George, as we know, already out. DeJounte Murray, broken hand last game, played the whole game, broke his hand. He's out. Jaren Jackson Jr., we kind of doubtful with the hammy.
Yeah, he's doubtful. Yep.
Quickly, doubtful, I believe, right? Yep, doubtful for today.
And Barrett both.
Yep. Barrett, Miller already ruled out today. Middleton ruled out for today. Beal is probable. Murphy is out. So you see those guys are already out.
Bogdanovich out. Okay. Lonzo Ball is out today. They have a back-to-back. Josh Green and Gary Trent are the two rotation pieces. I think, again, we've talked about the Josh Green thing for a little bit. I do think that's an important piece because he's a wing with a team that's already down a wing. So like that could be a pretty sizable role for multiple players involved.
Yeah.
And obviously,
lineup news is going to be big for today.
yes, it is. And
Yeah.
I do think the Bogdanovich news that we got is big because he played 27 minutes the other night. And the Hawks played a relatively very like short rotation to begin with, so it'll be fun to see what they do in terms of minutes without Bogdanovich.
Yeah. Well, we need to know the Hawks news. We need to know what Charlotte's going to do. We got to know what Pelicans are going to do, right? I mean,
We won't. Well, we won't, by the way, because that's a 10 p.m. game.
Right, but as we talk about, there's at least late swap on these slates for now.
Correct.
For now,
Well,
we'll see. DraftKings took that away from us for a little bit
Please.
last year. Absolute nightmare scenario. But obviously, you can leave yourself some room to maybe move in a Jordan Hawkins later into your lineup or a Jose Alvarado later into your lineup. Both of those guys will play, or fully expecting them to play. We know DeJounte Murray here, but we don't know, I guess, necessarily how they'll play or where they'll play. So again, a lot of injury news that's kind of flesh out, some lineup news that at least we'll hopefully get early for some 7 p.m. roster lock here, and we can make some decisions. We go position by position, breaking this down. We'll start off at point guard, which is pretty loaded. Trae Young at $9,700 at home against Charlotte. John Morant at $95, Lillard $94, LaMelo $93, Maxey $91, Halliburton $9K. We talked about it this morning. We were both kind of in agreement that Trae Young, given the new look of the Atlanta Hawks, going to take a lot of shots, going to score a lot of points. Doesn't have to worry about letting DeJounte Murray hold the basketball for a little bit. It can just be the Trae Young show. Great spot, obviously. High game total. Pace-wise, we think it's going to be better. Talk to me about what you did at point guard for today.
Yeah, so I wrote up in the playbook 3 of them, and I'll give you 2, and I'll let you think about who the third one is.
Sure.
Trae Young is one of them, and he had a 31% usage rate in game number 1, over 20 potential assists, 30 points, 16 free throws. Wouldn't be surprising if Trae Young just messed around and led the league in scoring this year, just given what the Hawks have and what they're starting. Obviously Jalen Johnson's really good. Bogdanovich can score, but no DeJounte Murray. This is Trae Young's team. So love Trae Young in this game environment under 10K. And LaMelo Ball is going to be the most popular point guard on the slate. Ownership is up right now at Fantasy Alarm. He is the most popular point guard. And how recency bias works, right? Is guy has big game, guy is still underpriced, has good matchup. Everyone flocks to that player. So he is going to be popular on a 10-game slate. I don't dislike getting to LaMelo Ball. Just the matchup is great. They're shorthanded. He played a boatload of minutes. That's always been something that we've talked about with LaMelo. When he stays out of foul trouble, he always is on the floor. And it's a really good matchup. So there's a lot to like about LaMelo Ball. But if you're going into it with the assumption that he is going to just give you 65 fantasy points, I would say that's the wrong way to look at it.
Sure.
But he's good for all formats. And I think that there is another 9K player in this tier, like Damian Lillard would be the pivot off of LaMelo Ball, just given what he's looked like. But, he'll be significantly less owned than LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
And, it makes you wonder, not that Gary Trent's role is this big thing, but I mean, Gary Trent to Pat Connaughton or Gary Trent to DeLon Wright, right? Those would probably be the 2 starters or projected starters ahead of Trent. That is more shots for Lillard. That's more shots for Giannis. That's more shots for Bobby Poe, right? So I love Lillard as a
shots for Torian Prince.
10 all that goodness. Game 1, John, he had a 10% usage rate. I mean,
5 threes. That was all he touched the football.
You can't make that stuff up. Opening night, Torian Prince with a 10% usage rate, 30 fantasy points.
Yeah. Listen, I can't get away from Jalen Brunson here.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
The price point for him is ridiculous. Thank God DraftKings updated, so we have this year's stats on the board as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
22 points in 24 minutes. I mean, this guy, I guess the downside is I can't scroll through and see all the times he was up over 9K last year, right? Like giving you 50 plus fantasy points. So Brunson's price to me is wrong. He'll be higher as we go along here throughout the season. So for me, Brunson's where I'm looking to go here.
So 22 minutes or 24 minutes. Do you want to guess what his usage rate was in those 24 minutes?
32%.
37.8. So 38% usage rate.
Yeah.
So anyone that's worried about Jalen Brunson's first game of the year or the Knicks in general, let's just get rid of that thought and move on, right? Because this is a mid 9K. He should, you said it perfectly. He should be priced with Lillard, with Ball, with Trae Young, right? So somewhere in that equations, and he's not. We have him at $8,600 on DraftKings. So yes, I also agree. I love Jalen Brunson tonight, and also someone I wrote up in today's playbook.
John Isaac just ruled out for today. Big sad.
We're starting really early this year.
Already came out there dealing with the injury, missing some time. Only played like 11 minutes in that game, so it wasn't a big rotation piece for them anyways. All right, so Young, Lillard, I mentioned Brunson. You said you had 3 in the 9K tier. Who was that third guy?
Mr. Watch. You know what time it is.
Who?
You know what time it is.
Said Dame time already.
Yeah. Trae, LaMelo, and Lillard.
LaMelo. Yeah. Okay, got it. I must have missed the LaMelo thing while I was looking at the news here. All right, mid tier. Faisal, happy to have you in here as well. Appreciate you all tuning in. Under Brunson, where are we looking to go?
I don't have a ton of interest in this next tier. I have McCollum listed as a shooting guard. We'll talk about him there. I think like there's a case that you see Josh Giddey for more time in this game with no Lonzo. Josh Giddey played 30 minutes. Do we see him play 33, 34? He had a good usage rate, second on the team. So if you want to play Giddey or Kobe White, that's fine. Jaden Ivey was fine, but don't love the Cleveland spot. I can truthfully say it's just not a position that I found to not be spending up at, or just like kind of going to the value tier. Sure. Tyus Jones, 5,300, Ben Simmons, 56, Austin Reeves, 58, and then all the way down to, someone that's considered a core play for me in Dyson Daniels. So that's basically where I've lived all day. I'm spending all the way up, or just kind of dipping down into like this 5K and below tier.
Sure. I mean, again, there's some good value down here. What are some of the core value plays for you today?
At this position, or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, at point guard.
Dyson Daniels.
Just plug it in and moving along?
I am. Yep.
Okay. Anyone else?
I listed off a couple names.
Yeah,
so I would say those players that I listed. And then like there's always like you could take shots on, we don't know what the Pelicans are gonna do.
Yeah.
We'll see if Alvarado starts. I don't think he would, but there's always a case. Miles McBride was obviously super great in the opener. And it wasn't blowout. He got taken off the floor in garbage time. So
sure.
McBride's a key piece. I guess like Jamal Shed would be someone I'd be willing to play in large field stuff. Barrett quickly just ruled out. Jamal Shed played 19 minutes off the Toronto bench as the backup point guard, 20 fantasy points. He was really good in the preseason. Only in large field tournaments
sure.
Would I really get there.
All right, shooting guard, we go. Up at the top, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Desmond Bane, Cam Thomas is up here. When we talked about it this morning, we didn't really look to spend up at this position. I do like Zach LaVine at 7K. I think there's some good value to him there, given what we just saw him do last game. But where were you looking to start some builds at shooting guard?
I fully agree. that Levine is an elite target at his price, I would say McCollum and Levine are the two guys that I'm largely focusing on in this tier. McCollum, since the start of last year, when you take off DeJounte in his one game, Valanciunas and Trey Murphy, now that they're gone, 1.1 fantasy points per minute, 27% usage. Both those are third on the team, but third behind two elite players. 27% usage rate for McCollum is elite. So is 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So McCollum, I like. I like Levine more because he's cheaper. He played 38 minutes or 37 minutes, and he checked out for the final 146 of the game. Was Zach LaVine on pace to play 39 minutes? He sure was.
Right.
And Billy Donovan is someone who does play his starters a lot. 29% usage, led the team. So you said it in the opener. Zach LaVine gonna lead them in scoring. He sure did. He led them in usage. He sure did. He is my favorite Bull. Probably the only one I'm like really getting to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, McCollum and Levine for me in this upper 7K and up range.
Yeah, I like it. Working our way down into the mid-tier range. Again, we were in on Sexton last slate. Then we saw Utah mess around with their rotations a bit. Kelly Oubre looked pretty good. He's 62 in a great spot against Toronto. You got Austin Reeves down here. Like, what's the rest of this mid-tier look like for you?
Yeah, mention Reeves at point guard, but Oubre is someone that I'm interested in. 31% usage rate in that opener. We know no Paul George, no Embiid. It's the same thing. Lost 5 minutes, about 5 minutes to foul trouble and garbage time. So we saw him play 30. There was 5 minutes left on the table. So, projecting out Kelly Oubre's minutes without both those things, 35 minutes, I would, love that for the player that he is, especially if we're going to get 31% usage rate Kelly Oubre at 35 minutes. That's an elite combination. Plus, we see Kelly Oubre, with the shooting guard small forward eligibility. So there's a lot of really good things working in Kelly Oubre's favor. So I have no problem going back to him just because, he's a much better peripheral stat guy than 2 rebounds and 1 assist. He had nothing else. That is not what Kelly Oubre has done his whole career.
Yep, I agree with you. Cam the Man, did I see you taking down a tournament yesterday? Let me know. I think I was in the $12 single, and at the very top there was a name Cam the Man. Was that you?
Multiple. I saw he sent me, after you had sent me that, he sent me multiple tournaments he took down yesterday with that.
Look at you, my guy. Congratulations on your wins there yesterday, good sir. Build that bankroll and be back to it here today.
Cam, I know you see this, dog. Let's go. Yankees at 4.
Love the wins for you there, my friend. All right, working our way down the shooting guard tier a little bit more. Are we buying into Andrew Wiggins tonight?
I'm out. I am out. Okay. Golden State, out. I don't care. Out.
Buddy Hield, 22 points in 14 minutes. Out.
He could score 50 tonight. I am out. I don't care. I am not playing a team that is rostering 12 guys a night. I'm not. Until that changes, I don't care if they beat me every night. I feel like that's bad DFS etiquette, right? Like, we made the mistake of going, not knowing, but Memphis played 13 guys or 11 guys. And then Taylor Jenkins comes out and is like, 6 games in the first 9 nights of the season. Gonna play a lot of people. Gonna keep my team fresh. It's like, okay, sound logic, right? Beginning of the year. But Steve Kerr's just got 13 players for 10 spots, gonna play them all. He's just a psycho. So you know what? Buddy Hield had a great night. Andrew Wiggins had a great night. There's no guarantee that continues. And if they're playing poorly, there's no guarantee that they're not the ones playing behind the next 12 guys that they got, Right. So if they beat me, they beat me. But I have a hard time rostering anybody playing 12, legitimately playing 12 guys double-digit minutes.
Yeah. Grady Dickson be in for a lot of shot attempts here tonight.
Yes.
We jumping in at 5K?
Yes. Didn't play a single minute in the fourth quarter and played 29 minutes. Not a single second in the fourth quarter, 29 minutes. I mean, he played a lot of minutes. He played 19 first half minutes.
Yeah.
If that, the way averages work, that's 38 minutes. Like, if we're going to get 38 minutes from Grady Dick on a shorthanded Raptors team,
Right.
it's not like Philly's defense did all too much against Milwaukee. Again, you mentioned Taurean Prince lit them up. Grady Dick kind of profiles like Taurean Prince does as a spot-up shooter, probably a little more shot creation than Taurean Prince. So, yeah, I think Grady Dick is a very safe 5K play, someone that I'm definitely looking at for all formats.
Yeah, agreed with you for sure. Working our way down again, we mentioned some plays already here. Trey Mann, though, shooting guard, $4,300, played 29 minutes for Charlotte. We going there?
Des. Yeah, I think so. I think there's like a lot of interesting things in this tier because like there's a lot of Trey Mann blew up, led them in usage, played 29 minutes off the bench. I don't know if does he play 29 minutes if Josh Green plays? Like if Josh Green doesn't play, I assume we're getting like a very sizable role out of Trey Mann. Really good fantasy, really good just scorer when he's been on the floor. But like there's no guarantee with Green there, who's projected to start, that Mann would play 29 minutes. So like up in the air, my thoughts there. Obviously has a ceiling. Can say the exact same thing about Hawkins. Those 28 minutes were kind of legit. 25 of them were not garbage time. He played the 3 minutes of garbage time, but he was like well within the rotation.
He subbed
in that first half.
DeJounte Murray in the first quarter.
Yep.
6 minutes to go in the first quarter. DeJounte subbed out. Jordan Hawkins subbed in. He played that whole sequence there. End of the first quarter into the second. So he is their backup point guard or shooting guard, whichever rotation you want.
Just guard. Right? Yeah, just guard. I
mean, Alvarado didn't get in that game until late. So,
dude, the kid can score. Like, that's the one thing we've seen with Jordan Hawkins in the last year plus, right? When he is going and flying off screens, dude, he looks like Klay Thompson with his form. Like he looks like he just has perfect shooting form. And every time I see him shoot, I think the ball's going to go in. So I would love Jordan Hawkins in tournaments. If he's starting, I mean, it's lock and load. We're not going to know that information. I don't think he starts with Zion back. That my guess would be he doesn't start, but you never know because like they're losing DeJounte, but they're gaining Zion. They can simply just go McCollum back to point, Ingram, Herb, Zion, Tice. I don't know if that's what they do. Either way, Tice is not long for the game. It doesn't matter if Daniel Tice starts or not. You're going to see, Zion at the 5 lineups. So I like the GPP play of Jordan Hawkins quite a bit. And I think like him, McBride, and even where is he? Jalen Wilson, who's shooting guard, small forward. I mean, he played, dude, 34 minutes is a lot of minutes for someone coming off the bench. He took 8 free throws, scored 16 actual points. Jalen Wilson did, and I don't know how like he closed the first half over Simmons and the second half over Simmons. Like Ben Simmons just didn't close, and I don't know what that is, and that's just like a minutes restriction thing, and that's just like the rotation they like. Do you think Jalen Wilson's going to play 34 minutes again?
I mean, he was like a first sub for them. So like he might just be their backup. And if they have guys limited, Ben Simmons or Claxton. And now again, he subbed in for a guard, he subbed in for like Schroeder or something like that. So
Schroeder. Yeah. He subbed in for Schroeder and then closed over Simmons.
So it could be.
I projected him at like 28 minutes. Also, I think Claxton
he was one more. Of the trending pick 'em plays today. If you go over to like Underdog or Prize Picks, they give you that trending plays, hot plays, whatever. His point projection was 7.5, and people were just kind of like hammering that. So,
yes, Simmons was in foul trouble, Warren, and there is a minutes restriction, but like that's my question. Like, Jalen Wilson still played 34 minutes. It's not like Ben Simmons is gonna suddenly have like
Yeah.
his cap lifted. He's gonna still be limited just based on Ben Simmons' whole career. Like, there's no way that they're just gonna, yep, you're good, Ben. And also, he wasn't in foul trouble in the first half. He had one foul in the first half, and he didn't close the first half. So they just played Wilson.
Small forward. LeBron James is $8,900, your top price small forward. Obviously, do not have the greatest of games on opening night there because it was like the Anthony Davis show. So, difficult to completely dominate, but it should be a fun game. Phoenix and LA here tonight. You got Desmond Bane and Brandon Ingram, both of them, coming off very strong game one performances. Would have loved to see more minutes out of Desmond Bane, obviously, but 20 shots is nice. Brandon Ingram had dominated. We've talked the usage rates, though, when Zion's on the floor versus not on the floor. So Ingram was in a great spot to crush. Laurie, we've talked Levine already. Franz Wagner's in a pretty good spot tonight. Brooklyn had a ton of turnovers in that last game against Atlanta. Wagner looking pretty good there. So what are your thoughts here at small forward?
Yeah, LeBron had 16 potential assists in that game and had 4. I mean, that's just terrible luck, right? Like, that's just your teammates not helping you out at all. So I expect some positive regression for LeBron. If you want to get there, by all means, do it. Bane was also had 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes or 5 seconds of that game. So he's probably would have played 30 minutes because he actually got a lot of time in the preseason. So if you want to play Desmond Bane, it's fine. I prefer Ingram to Bane. He was great in that first game. Obviously, Zion coming back. But I looked into it with Zion on the floor, without Murphy, Valanciunas, Murray. Obviously two guys aren't on the team anymore, but starters and guys that play big minutes. 29% usage rate, 1.2 fantasy points per minute since the start of last year. I mean, those are still great numbers, even with Zion. He's a little cheaper. I would say he's a little – I've built lineups with Ingram a little more than Zion. Probably that's just my internal clock being or my just a tick being I want to play Zion. I should play Zion. But he's coming off an illness, didn't play a lot in the preseason, and he's always injured. So there's no way he's playing 35 minutes out of the gate, right? So I found myself getting to more Ingram than I
no one's really projected to be in on Ingram, honestly, because we don't know that news. So
because we just have no knowledge of what Zion's minutes are going to be, and I'm not sitting here saying that there is going to be a restriction, but. It's like the Pop and Wemby thing, right? Where Pop's just there's no illness or there's no injury. He's just going he hasn't played a lot, so he's gonna be tired. So I like Ingram. Larry Markkinen is a very interesting tournament pivot. When his shot is falling, he is an absolute flamethrower. When you get the rebounds, that's when you get the 50 burger. That's what we got last time out.
I mean, 35 actual is insane, right?
14 free throws. Yeah, he is just a very good scorer that I wish was still in the Chicago Bulls. But like Markkinen, and yeah, Franz, I saw Paolo getting a ton of Paolo's getting a ton of ownership love today. So if you can always play that. Well, one guy is nearly $2,000 cheaper game and save some money on Franz, who went for 40 in his opening game and easily could go for 40 here again.
I mean, obviously, Banchero was a monster there. Working our way down the mid-tier a little bit more. Some guys we've already discussed. Any targets for you in this range?
It's just Oubre for me amongst all we already talked about him, 6,200 shooting guard, small forward. I don't have a ton of interest. I think this is another position where I think there's some pretty good value options. We know Cam J I'm indifferent about. We know the Knicks guys are going to play big minutes. If you just want to play guys based on their minute output, Hachimura was great. Hard to replicate what he did in game one, but it was good to see. Someone I've landed on a lot today is DeAndre Hunter. 26 minutes in the opener, and that was with Bogdan playing 27. And obviously, we were like, who's going to start? Yeah. Hunter, Richeche, Psych, Dyson Daniels. We're going to play the other guy. And Daniels was obviously great, and that worked out. But we saw, Quinn Snyder run a super short rotation with Atlanta, and DeAndre Hunter, 26 off the bench. Now there's 27 minutes floating around without Bogdan. There's a legitimate case for Hunter to play 30 minutes off the bench and just float between both forward spots. Like, he is just strictly like playing all backup small forward, backup 4 minutes, like just the entire night. He was really good in the debut. This is a great game environment, probably the most stackable game on the board. At least it feels the most stackable because they're the two teams with arguably the best value and the most value going into it. So I love Hunter 47. I'm not against going to Richeche. He had a 27% usage rate in that game. He just didn't do anything else. He was 2 for 8 from the floor. But he played 19 minutes. That's going to see an uptick without Bogdanovic. So I'm okay going to Richeche at $4,400. Then you see there's some Charlotte stuff down here. Josh Green, if he plays, Charles Lee, the head coach, is excited about Josh Green potentially returning. And he also specifically name dropped I was reading an article earlier, Cody Martin. If Josh Green can't play, he specifically name dropped Cody Martin about picking up extra minutes. Martin played 23 minutes or 24 minutes rather in that first game. Started, by the way, played 24 minutes. And at $3,700, if Cody Martin's starting again, point guard, small forward eligibility, he was 2 points and 2 rebounds shy of a double-double. I think there's a legitimate chance Martin sees upper 20s minutes. So if there's no Josh Green, I think the field is going to pivot to Trey Mann. I get it. I absolutely get it. But I do think Cody Martin would be a sneaky play, because if Trey Mann doesn't shoot the way that he shot last game, it's probably a scenario where Cody Martin probably gets another crack at it over Mann, right? Mann just was a flamethrower, couldn't miss, and you're not taking that guy off the floor. So I like the Cody Martin play if there's no Josh Green. Yeah. I mean, he probably caught up to the stream.
In case he hasn't yet. Power forward we go. Yeah, Giannis up at the top. Giannis projected for a lot of fantasy points today. Obviously, Chicago, your team. He had no problems going up against Philadelphia, 25, 14, and 7.
31 minutes. I mean, missed 7 free throws.
I mean, the free throws are always a problem for him.
No, I know, but you make 3 more of those, and we're now.
We got Claxton. We'll see increased playing time today. So
I projected him at 24 minutes tonight. I just don't know how to project it because he was limited and then didn't. Yeah. He got thrown out, right? So it's a hard thing to project.
He will play more than 15.
He will play more than 15.
So you have Giannis. He's a freak. If you get to him, if you can. Again, is just the highest projected player on the slate in terms of scoring, fantasy-wise. He's right there. We like Scotty Barnes. We talked about that. This is a spot where Scotty Barnes should. They keep losing players. So when you just keep subtracting and putting worse talented players on, eventually Scotty Barnes has to hit. So $8,800 for him. You mentioned Banchero being potentially popular here tonight. Durant struggled, still came through at 40 in the overtime game, but 84 is a great price for him. And Siakam balled out. So pretty good tier of guys there. Then not to leave Zion out of the question. He's 81.
It's really hard to pick power forwards today. That's how I found in the playbook, because there's so many good ones. Giannis is elite. I love Scotty Barnes in tournaments today. I doubt anyone plays him, right? They got absolutely torched. He missed every shot. And we saw the leap from Scotty Barnes last year, and also triple doubled when he teamed to himself in the preseason, and Philadelphia's defense did not look good. I love Scotty Barnes as a GPP pivot off of the field. When the field's going to Paolo.
Nope.
Not saying that's a bad idea, because he's also going to take a leap. I mean, he's made half his threes, took 8 threes, made half of them, 30-point double-double. I mean, Paolo's obviously due for a monster.
The threes
year.
are nice, right? Like I don't feel like
some threes are great, dude.
Cam, the Suggs one's interesting here because he is getting some ownership love. I think the turnover upside for him is huge because the Nets. They turned the ball over a ton last game. I think the Hawks had 12 steals, I think it was in that game or something like that. So obviously, Suggs, can rack up. This could be a 3 or 4 steal game for Suggs if he's on the floor. So,
yeah, and when he's on the floor, he's gonna take a lot of threes. That's like the two things we know. He's gonna get a lot of defensive stats. He's gonna take a bunch of threes, and he just got paid. So, for sure. I mean, I think it's always funny. Orlando point guards are always so popular. Throughout the last few years,
even though they're going to probably blow out Brooklyn,
whoever the Orlando point guard is. Yeah, I mean that's the part, right? That he played 13 minutes in a blowout, and he had 21 fantasy points. So even if you played him, he didn't kill you.
Yeah.
But he played 13 minutes. I mean, that's tough. Like that's a tough pill to swallow. But it's fine. It's a fine value because he.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just play Dyson Daniels, right? Like, just if you're gonna,
knowing that it's a competitive game, he's gonna play a boatload of minutes and is also a dog defensively.
Yeah, I'd rather just take the safer play there. I think, especially if they're both supposed to get ownership there. Mid-tier guys at power forward tonight. Where are we looking to go?
We can answer Faisal's question right now too on Zion. I am unsure. I don't think that there's going to be a limit. He practiced yesterday and was fine. But like, do I think he plays 34, 35 that he was playing right at the gate line? Especially because you look at the Pelicans, they didn't play their guys 34, 35 minutes in the first game, right? McCollum played 29. Ingram played 31. Like they didn't, in a somewhat competitive game. I know the fourth got a little out of hand, and they lost like 2 minutes to blowout. But I would say safely project Zion at like 30 minutes.
I agree with you.
That would probably be the number I'd put it on him. But like, would you play Zion? And I know like it's tough to answer because Zion will obviously be the top option without Murray, and like the numbers suggest it.
Yeah.
Would you play Zion 79? Would you play Jalen Johnson, who we just had a question about from Warren, 77? In like, again, the best game, 37 minutes in the opener, right? Like you could potentially see 8-minute difference between him and Zion. Or, you want to talk about minutes, Miles Bridges, who is 7,200. Now no Brandon Miller, possibly no Josh Green again.
Basically the team we saw last year, right? Like,
basically the team we saw last year, like sans LaMelo, because LaMelo didn't like play a lot.
Right.
So I think like where it just depends on where you feel Zion's minutes are going to sit, because we know Jalen Johnson, if he's out of foul trouble, is going to play near 40. And we know Miles Bridges gets a bump from 32 to mid-30s, high 30s in this spot. So Johnson and Bridges would be my two guys here, slightly ahead of Zion. I do love Zion, but I just feel safer with the Johnson minutes because, there's legitimate 40-minute upside with Jalen Johnson here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Plus, like you said, Jalen Johnson, didn't have a great game and yet still came out of it with 36 fantasy points. Yep. And if he gets any improvement there, like not 3 of 8 from the line, there's a much higher
and
ceiling.
6 turnovers in that game too, like outlier stuff there.
Yep, agreed. Further down the list here, again, mid-tier guys in the 6K range. Anyone in particular stand out to you? I saw some people liking Tobias Harris tonight. I don't want to go this spot. Like that's a tough matchup against Cleveland here.
I mean, I told you I like the fit, and I liked him on opening night, and he started off really good, and he played 36 minutes, but like he didn't do anything else. That's that's for other people to chase. That's not necessarily for me.
I agree. Right. Getting into the value tier. What are we buying into here with a Conqueror? 28 minutes, 11 of 12 from the floor.
Oh, dude.
We've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this guy to be the guy. And they played him more than they played Capella.
I mean, good. Because it took him, it would be malpractice if they didn't. Well, he was like, he was like 8 for 9. They're like, hey, that Andre Iguodala meme where he's like, hey, buddy, come on down and sit on this bench with me. Yeah, I mean, I think generally it's going to be a split unless you get stuff like this, right? I think it's going to be a split. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. I think he's fine in tournaments. I'm not chasing it. I wrote a Bobby Portis today in the playbook. I think Bobby Portis is in line for a really big game. We know how good Bobby Portis is on a fantasy per minute basis. 26 minutes in the opener. Brooke Lopez is a little banged up. 29 fantasy points in that spot. Gets a little revenge narrative against the Bulls. So I love Bobby Poe at 57. I would probably lean Bobby Poe over Okongwu tonight.
Okay.
If I was choosing between the two.
Sure. I took the over 3s on Santi Aldama, $5,100 for him. Pretty good spot. Do you like the over 1.5 3s?
Yeah. I am okay with Aldama. It's hard. Like we said it, he is gonna shoot threes, and he should be a better 3-point shooter than what he showed, and he was great in game 1. I'm just a little.
We have him projected for 1.9, so I took the over 1.5.
Yeah, I mean over 1.5. I agree. I think 10-3. Look, if that's going to be the role that he's playing alongside Ja and Bane, it's a great role, right? If he's going to knock
down corner 3 and wait to knock him down.
If he's going to knock him down, I mean, that's even better. So yeah, I mean, 5,100 probably once again check in at loan. I don't think I saw him at high ownership at all. 11% projected on what we have. So
sure.
Yeah, I'm good with.
Did you bring up Caleb Martin?
No, not yet. Nope, not yet.
4,900. You called him out last time. Kudos to you. KJ Martin started, but Caleb Martin came in and then started the second half and played 37 minutes in that game.
Yeah, and I think like also why I like Oubre and like we're gonna get to center and you can always play Maxey because like Nick Nurse is their head coach. At the end of the day, when Nick Nurse finds people he likes, he just runs them into the ground, which is terrible news for Paul George and Joel Embiid and their injuries all the time. Mm-hmm. Like Nick Nurse is a Thibodeau light, right? Where he's just playing these guys big minutes. Dude, we're one game in and Caleb Martin is already has a calf contusion. He's probably like, wasn't expecting 37, but damn, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he's in line for another big role. He's actually pretty popular tonight as well. I'm not against going to Caleb Martin as a value play. I'm not like I'm indifferent about it because we know who Caleb Martin is. The 1 3-pointer was a little disappointing. Probably get more in this game, but almost doubled. Yeah, he's fine.
Yep, I'm with you there. Any other value power forwards for you today?
Nothing that we like haven't really mentioned. I mean, Yabusele is. Yeah, I mean, like. I do think he benefited from the Drummond foul trouble early because Drummond was in foul trouble like pretty early in that game. Drummond fouled out. I mean, Yabusele checked in 5 minutes. Let's see. It was 4 minutes into the third quarter. And basically played, had 2 long stints. But he did play a lot in the first half. He closed over Drummond after Drummond got in foul trouble. So, like, I think Yabusele is fine. I think the real appeal was that he was stone cold min on that opening slate, and he's got a $1,000 price bump. So kudos to DraftKings for like changing that really fast. I'd be okay with it. And then there's obviously the Chris Boucher stuff. He's going to play. And he can be really good, I largely think a lot of the Raptors are in play because they're so shorthanded. So
Yeah.
if you want to take a shot on some of these second unit players, it's fine because they're so short. They're so
If Pirtle
shorthanded,
somehow gets in foul trouble, like Boucher's in for run here. So
and also like, but conversely, I will say if this game doesn't blow out, we talked about it with Grady Dick. He was projected for 38 minutes.
yeah,
And Scotty Barnes is going to play 38 minutes. And Pirtle's going to play mid 30. So what does that leave for, like, how much meat is left on the bone for everybody else? So if you think that that game doesn't stay competitive, I'm more comfortable with Boucher, but in a tournament, he's perfectly fine.
sure. And then that takes us to center. Anthony Davis and Alperen Şengün, 71 and 66 in their debuts here. Şengün obviously in a good spot. Zach Edey fouled out in 15 minutes. That could be a problem here after what Şengün just did the other day. He's $8,800. I like Towns for a bounce back here. Just at $8,000 for him. So some decent top end centers.
Just two lineup notes here, John. But we're gonna get them shortly. Josh Green is playing.
Okay.
So we'll see what they do with their lineup. And Caleb Martin is likely to move into the starting lineup.
Okay.
For Philly.
Probably pushes more ownership into Caleb Martin here then.
Probably. Yeah, I don't have any problems. If you're like Anthony Davis is the top play of the slate, I'd say, yeah, sure. And then if you said, well, I like Şengün as my top center of the day, I'd say, okay, yeah, sure. Like both those things can be true. It's hard to not like them like leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. I think there's great center options. I think those two are, if you can get there, the best because, we talked about like the implementation of JJ Redick's offense. There was a lot of offensive rebounds for Davis. There's a lot of offense flowing through Davis.
Yep.
Took 3 threes. I think that volume might even go up moving forward. And then Şengün, that guy just touches the ball 7 times every possession. It just flows through him every dude. You do not see centers with a 34% usage rate, but that's what Alperen Şengün had in opening night. So,
Charlotte versus centers, not good.
Charlotte versus center is not good, for sure. But like Zach Edey / Jay Huff / undersized Brandon Clark probably will have a problem with this guy as well.
I would agree. All right, I mentioned obviously Towns. I expect him to bounce back again. He wasn't terrible in 24 minutes. He had 12 and 7. They just got blown out, and hard to grab rebounds when the other team is not missing shots. So, it's impossible. Drummond 68 gets a price decrease here. I love going back to the well here. I'll play him all day at $6,800.
Dude, we talked about it. I think like you could take advantage of recency bias at the early parts of the season the best because everyone's just going to pile on all the players that have done well, right? And Andre Drummond got in foul trouble, and Andre Drummond, didn't play in blowout run.
Yeah. And
if Andre Drummond doesn't stay, or if he stays on the floor, there's a legitimate chance he has 20 rebounds every night without Joel Embiid on the floor. So
at 13 and 25 minutes. So
13 and 25 minutes. So yeah, I have absolutely no problems. Also attempted a 3-point shot, which is a very interesting thing to see on the Andre Drummond box score here. But yeah, I think low on Andre Drummond's great for sure.
Watched a few different shows today. Listened to some stuff. Jakob Poeltl's trending as an option again. When you don't have options, other guys sort of become popular. Andre Drummond's also not a great defensive player. Poeltl himself had not a great day, but Cleveland is going to give many front courts trouble with Mobley and Allen there. 2 like defensive player of the year type caliber guys. He had 9 rebounds, 2 assists. We've seen Poeltl have big days before. Would you go here at 61?
Yeah, I think he's fine. Again, he's gonna play. They don't have bodies, and also he's a good shot blocker. So the 0 probably turns into a crooked number on this slate. Double for sure in play. Yeah, I'm good with Jakob Poeltl.
And then we mentioned, obviously, Gunku already. Capella played 19 minutes. Do we know which way this game flips? Is it going to be Capella continuing just to play 20? Like, well, how would you approach it?
I mean, I think we should just typically approach it as a split until we're given a reason not to. We would both love that if it was a Kongwu's job and they just got rid of Capella. But we thought after big games last year that was going to be the case. And Clint Capella was never traded. And then he kept starting. And then he kept starting.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kept starting, right? So until Quinn Snyder tells us differently or the Landry Fields literally trades him, I don't think we should project anything differently. That he's going to be split.
Blocker Kessler played 30 minutes. Something we certainly weren't expecting to see.
Yeah.
16, 14, 5 blocks.
Another team I just hate outside of Markkanen, right? It just feels like if Walker Kessler's not rebounding the way he is or not active defensively, John Collins is looming. Like John Collins and him split 48 minutes, right? That was their center rotation. Who's to say tonight it's not 24 minutes right down the middle if Kessler is not as good as he was?
He's another one that benefited, obviously, Edey going out, and then they just had no one to play center.
Right. It's like, yeah, that dude is taller than everyone and significantly taller than the other two centers. So it's like he has 50 fantasy point upside right there on the screens, right in front of us. If you want to play him in a tournament, if you want to play him in a tournament, you can play him in a tournament. But just like understand there's a lot of different factors that take Walker Kessler off the floor, and head coach being like a lot of them because this is another team that just other than Markkanen, there is nobody safe. Lauri Markkanen is safe. Nobody else on that team is safe for minutes. So
Lauri Markkanen has 9 figures in his bank account saying, "I am on the floor."
And it started with a 2. It didn't start with a 1 either. That started with a 2. So Lauri Markkanen could probably buy the Utah Jazz, get like another stakeholder and just be the owner player like Jackie Moon. So
Nick Richards is there, and then Trey Saxon Davis did start in that game, played 25 minutes. So value center options for you.
Stop talking to me about Warriors. Stop.
But he played.
No, I know. He started. He played. Draymond questionable. I would play Richards. They played the same amount of time. I'm not convinced Jackson Davis would play anymore. I'm convinced Nick Richards, if he stayed at foul trouble, would, because they literally used Musa Diabate as their backup center. I told you it was going to be Taj Gibson. It was not. Taj Gibson. He stayed on the bench. They used Diabate as their backup center. So like I expect Richards to be extended a little bit more as long as he stays out of foul trouble.
And we don't know what Portland's and the Pelicans are going to do, right?
No idea. I mean, Misi is the better option, just like from a fantasy perspective. But like, can we trust that? They played all 3 centers. They played JRE as well. They played Tice, they played JRE, and they played Misi. Like that is a 10 p.m. nightmare to have if you're like going into that game with Misi. And
so where is JRE down here?
I think he's I assume he's a power forward 3,200.
Do you give Sir J Huff a look or no?
I mean, like, what a nightmare. No. Okay. No. I mean, again, it's like, how do you Memphis, until further notice.
Yeah.
Memphis, Golden State, and Utah are just like on a list for me. And the list says a curse word off. And like, because like, how can you just can't be serious playing J Huff 24 minutes down the stretch. You can't. We can't make that up. We can't. So yeah, no.
Let's build a lineup then.
Let's build. I want to stop talking about these gosh forsaken teams.
Caleb Martin probably now like our first plug-in if he's starting, right?
Dyson Daniels
And Dyson Daniels.
and Martin. We can play both.
Daniels shooting guard. All right, 67.50. Who's the cover of your playbook is Şengün.
Cover my playbook is Şengün. It is.
Okay.
Love Şengün today.
What's your spend up guard?
Spend up guard. I mean,
You listed a few, obviously.
The chalky answer is LaMelo Ball.
Yep.
I think Dame is a great pivot. I don't think we have to spend up if you wanted to do just really balanced with Pelicans or power forward like Jalen Johnson. I love tonight. So Ingram, I love tonight. Like Scotty Barnes. So, there's a lot of fair and balanced builds that I like. So we could.
If we did Jalen Johnson.
There's a
small forward, only power forward.
No, he's only power forward. Yeah.
Small forward. Then there's Ingram.
Ingram.
5,300 for 2 guards and a util. McBride.
Grady Dick.
Grady Dick's 5K. That works for a guard. 55.50, 2 spots. Said we can spend up a little bit somewhere. Sorry, util for 55. Portis, Cam J, Agankwu, Aldama. That gets us back up into the 6K range for some plays.
Yeah. I mean, put in Suggs, who's chalky, and then see what happens from there.
63 for a util. 63 for a util would be Oubre.
It would be Oubre. For sure.
If you went Suggs.
Yeah, if we went Suggs.
I mean, this is a fair and balanced build, right? You got 8,800 Şengün, 77 Johnson, 79 Ingram.
Let's do the if you went up from, we could do Şengün LaMelo or Şengün Dame. If you took out Jalen Johnson and did it that way.
That'd be a 32, so we'd have to
drop Ingram or Oubre. 47.
That's doable. You definitely got a guy down there. Hunter.
Yeah.
And then where's Man, Hawkins, or Green? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh Green kind of muddies things a little bit for Charlotte, but I assume there's going to be. He has not played. It's an Achilles, and he hasn't played in the preseason. So I assume Trey Mann's going to still have a really sizable.
I mean, I like Trey Mann over him. I think the offense is there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just telling you what I do think that Josh Green is going to They like him. They traded for him. They like him.
Let's see, Ingram was 77. So if we did, would you do Levine or Oubre?
Levine, if I had the choice.
That's a 56 util. 56 util is kind of a tier we didn't really love.
Don't like this tier.
Right, let's go back to Oubre and see what that gets us here. Probably something in the 6s. 64 util. 64 util Sexton, kind of the same group we were just part of. Pirtle, could double up there.
Probably, or you go up from Şengün to AD, and then you're back in that
51K
5, which I actually like this tier. You have Santi, you have Hachimura.
I like that. Yeah. We'll send Aldama here. Lillard, Daniels, Oubre, Martin, Davis, Dick, Hunter, and Aldama. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it. So example lineup for all of you. You can see us talk through the process here. We got the double spend ups, taking advantage of some of the value here that's on today's board and guys that are moving around the rotation in favorable matchups. Like we said, we got a 7-day free trial going on here. You can scan that QR code right there on the screen or go to fantasystorm.com/win. You use promo code Let's Go when you sign up. That first month is less than $20 after the 7-day free trial ends. This is for all of our premium content, which means Not only do you get all of our NBA DFS, but you'll get our NFL Week 8 DFS content. Get UFC, was it 308 or 309 tomorrow? You get access to that playbook, NASCAR playbook, NHL playbook. It's all there, ready for you guys for a week for free. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Of course, James and I will be back live next week as a fly flies through. I think, James.
Dude, it is just it will not leave me alone. I've this fly snuck into my house. It's actually on my hand right now, and I can't wait till you hit the stop live button so I can just smash it.
Yeah, and smash that fly like the Yankees going to smash the Dodgers tonight.
I mean, you see, where's the name right here?
Yankees in 4, he says.
Yankees
We'll see.
4.
We'll see. Good luck, everybody, tonight. Get in that Discord. Get us on